Kaizo Mario Odyssey. Every kingdom is changed, and every moon is more difficult. This was an absolute journey to play through. I really loved it, and it's definitely one of my favorite mods I've ever played, but it also just about broke me. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Let's start this up and head to Cap Kingdom. And what's crazy is we see our first change before we even start moving. Look at how beautiful that sky looks. Even in these cutscenes, it just gives this place its own feeling. But now to the changes that aren't just visual. The lever for the bridge is gone. Now there's a bunch of skull signs in the void. These are some of the smallest platforms in the game, but they can be jumped across with good movement. And then the bridge is where it's supposed to be. Also, wouldn't you guess it, once inside, there's no frogs. I don't know what you want me to do here, Cappy. Instead, we just gotta make the jump up this wall. I mean, make the jump up this wall. Wow, I am very rusty. Sometimes it takes 3 tries, you know? Whoa, that's a lot of Goombas. The rest of this room was pretty simple, and at the top of the tower, the checkpoint was over here. Huh, wonder if that's gonna be a theme. And what will be the huge threat in this battle? Spinies. It's easy. With that, the new logo can be shown on our way to Cascade. Also, new checkpoints all around appear to be confirmed since we can see one in this iconic shot. Nice place for it up here, but a slight problem with what I can see up ahead. There's a stunning lack of chain chomps around here. Is there anything that would be strong enough to break this rock? Because I sure can't do it alone. Well, there is that nifty first moon skip to get to the other side, and up on this cliff, I guess we're not in prehistoric land anymore. We're in Hammerbro land. Can this guy actually help us? Well, he might be a lot smaller than the other usual captures around here, but he can still break through these rocks like nobody's business. Maybe he's throwing them harder than it looks, because they really just smash right through all of those. This allows us to get through all the burbos, break the rock at the start for the first moon, recapture him, and go back around to open the 2D section. Then I thought I'd just check out the hidden part in here for that moon. But oh boy, I was not expecting that. It looks like we got some kind of Flappy Bird section going on here. But whatever, the crouch jumps actually made this a lot easier and made jumping through these look pretty cool. Still, the timing for landing on the ground has to be really precise with all these spinies yet again. Now we have reached the top. Thankfully, this life up heart is still here, and now it's time for Madame Brood. It looks more difficult with all of these new rocks on the ground, but it really does not change a whole lot since there's this open area to still do the fast strats. Even if you have to move, it's nothing to worry about anyway. So we have that multi-moon and we can move on. This has been tough so far, but I'm loving every second of it. Now it's off to sand, and unlike a certain other mod for this, we actually can walk on the sand here to move around. So let's get some of these more difficult moons. First of all, the bird is of course much higher, so I had to do a pretty big jump from the hill to reach him. It worked, but grabbing the moon after proved to be an issue since I couldn't up throw Cappy towards that one. So I reset it with this checkpoint I found. I guess the flags are in different spots, but they still warp you to the same usual spot. I don't know where the moon in here went, but I thought this would be a good spot. Cappy was being a little weird though, so after failing that way too many times, I moved over here to this ice block on the other building, and yep, this one worked way better. So finally, I got something. Then there's this pipe. Will the moon still be here? Thanks. Don't worry, it's just in a different spot. From here, I took a quick trip through the ruins and scaled up everything I could until I was at the base of the tallest tower. Also, I saw a moon over here, so I had to jump down and get it. But then I was back at the base of the tallest tower. And guess what? There's no way in a 2D from here. So I'm doing something I've never done before and climbing this thing from the outside. There are some icicles on the side to jump off, but you can't stand on any of these ledges because of all of the ice over them. After a lot of trying, though, I figured it out. You're supposed to backflip from here and dive up to this ledge, which you can't stand on, but can still hit in just the right way to readjust the position and wall jump again. Hitting that spot feels about pixel perfect, but doing this and getting that next dive up to the platform was the best feeling I had so far. And this is just the beginning. And now we can actually go into 2D from up here and get everything inside, then get right back up and move on. After riding some fast and faster platforms all the way over to the Moai habitat, I had to find 5 shards. But apparently, there's not even invisible platforms to help out. I just gotta do all this myself and keep me alive on my own. I found that shard, one from invisible blocks on the side, one from this new huge tower, and after venturing off the path for a little bit, I found this one under the platform by some coins. So that's 4, but I could not find this last one. Was it on some secret hidden platform off the edge? Was it on this pillar sticking out of the side? What is this doing here? Did I miss it when I was riding over? Like, what's the deal? But then, as I landed, a light bulb went off. Maybe I can't see it because it's hidden in a small cactus. Gotta give it to you. That was good. These are some really tough moons, and I couldn't have skipped them even if I wanted to, because look, blocks here to prevent IP skip. Genius. But since we legitimately opened the door, what do we got in here? Alright, doesn't look too bad at first, but then there's the 2D section again. And now here is the Kaizo I'm used to, because there are some bullet bill bounces all over here. This part was genuinely amazing, and the fact that I got through this whole thing untouched is a miracle. We're now outside, and there's a 3D moon staring me in the face, but I can actually grab the 2D one just past the Hammer Bros. Man, it really is just like the old days, except the other way around. So everything out here is done now. A few fancy jumps were needed for these purples, but I got pretty lucky there. Then there's the issue of getting into the hidden room. Not that it was so difficult to land, but I got in and found nothing. No chest, just a stack of coins. I was slightly confused on what to do and got sucked back in a couple more times. But then I saw that the new hidden room was up in the corner along the exit wall. Nice camera pan. Okay, finally we're out, and I'm gonna jump right back down to grab that moon I saw. But don't worry, I can just die to respawn back at the top. Then it's the Harriet fight. It looks a little harder with these circle beam things, but if you just don't set anything off, then I guess I have nothing to say. So nighttime, and we got one more thing to do, going into that ice cave. For the first moon down here, it just takes a bit of trick jumping to grab that moon without a Goomba stack. But the chest down here is a bit more complicated since it's all the freaking way over there. So we're gonna have to do a much harder trick jump here. What you have to do is triple jump off this section, then dive your way over to this ledge above the door. See, the hard part is not about needing a lot of height or distance. It's just about diving into the perfect spot, because if you bonk, you fall. Also, if you do fall, you have to go back around and climb all the way back up just to jump again. But I did figure out that by coming at an angle like this, you can give yourself more room to work with, and I got up there pretty quickly. There's the underground chest, coin stack in the final room, because why not? And finally, knuckle attack. So you'd think this would just be the same situation as the last boss, since we can just not activate these beam things on the floor. But nope, a bullet bill on the side starts the chain reaction once the fight starts, and there is no way to avoid all this chaos. This was pretty crazy, but I gotta admit, I was pulling off some epic dodges here. Like, look at this movement, weaving through everything somehow. Having to dodge the clapping of the hands and ice falling from the sky with all of this going on was insane, and I definitely took some hits. But with just 1 health to spare, I punched him in the face as quick as I could and backflipped immediately. It was close, but I survived, so I could get the heck out of there. Let's move on from this place and hope that lake is a bit more simple than that. Well, what starts off here is a few things high up on the wall. One moon in the middle that took this high jump to reach, then a music note high up over here, here. Funny enough, I actually did a tutorial on how to get up here a long time ago, and Fur actually gave me a shout out because of it for needing to follow it during Smallland's Custom Moon Challenge.
I just want to say huge shout out to 03_ the ozone. I found his TikTok, and that's how I learned how to do it.
The classic hide and seek spot.
Fur, I'd give you a shout out right back if it actually would mean something, because definitely not popular enough for that. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh right, the note. Well, reaching this thing was easy, but collecting everything after that was not. They were basically in a bunch of groups, and they were spread out everywhere. Both of these zipper areas, which I had to open up, and all across this entrance structure. Even when I thought I had them all, nope, there were still 4 of them over by the Odyssey. How was I supposed to get all of these in that time limit? Well, I tried once, but the route I took was not going to cut it. So I got a new idea, lined myself up to try again, and this was the attempt I had. Thank goodness, that one felt really good. But see, during everything that was happening with that last moon, I managed to find a shard behind the boxes, and I got the second one in the cave where the chest usually is. We may have to find the rest of these. Well, I found one of them high above the surface on this wall, which was cool. Then I could grab Dory Backrider, and I went into the dome to break this box. Except I couldn't exactly see where the moon went. I just know it was pretty far away. How about we explore after we dive down to Captain Toad, which has this weird angle going on. And he is obviously not much of a conversationalist when seaweed is around. So after swimming back on the surface, I found shard number 4 and maybe found the box moon by the side of the arena. No, that must have already been there. I went back in the direction the moon seemed to go and saw another one high up. There's no way that was there before. What's in the box? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So at this point, I could have just went to the arena, but I was kind of on a roll collecting moons and was just stumbling into them. There was a chest through this cave, a couple of ground pound spots on either side of the dome in the water, and as I jumped back up, I activated the P-switch and there appeared the last shard hidden within. That's quite a lot for this place. Now we can defeat Rango. What's this challenge? A bunch of super fast rotating moon snakes. Guess this boss isn't going to be as easy as usual, but thankfully there are still a few safe spots on the edge. Very convenient for running away after he's jumping around. I was worried I would have to start over on this one, but I clutched it, and we were done. But before we leave, there appears to be a new hint art on the wall. Let's just take a picture of this and remember it, just in case. I imagine Wooded is going to be a grand adventure with how big this place is, but let's start with the bunny just like usual. Whoa, they're taking bigger hops than I remember. No matter, my rolling speed is still enough to catch up. Now I guess we should see what the Sphinx has to say to get through here. What phrase is written exactly 365 times in the Bible? What? I don't know. I never read that. Alright, let's take a guess. Can't never go wrong with option 3. Do not be afraid. Oh, I got it right. Now that we're here, flooded pipes, anyone? Here's the gimmick. Actually, there's multiple. The water moves faster, we don't have Cappy, and there's moon gravity. Actually, that last one is quite helpful. Never thought I would see a combination like this, but honestly, it's not bad. Now, fire in the cave, I suppose. I should have expected that. I guess it's now time to climb up the structure to grab the first story moon, but what's in the maze? Well, apparently nothing, since the nut is on the outside. We'll come back to that one, but there is a bigger problem to solve, because you can't kill a giant piranha plant if it doesn't exist. Of course, my first thought to fix this problem was to kill all of these smaller plants on the platform, but that did nothing, and they all just kept respawning. I even tried jumping down to the bottom to kill the rest most of them while trying to keep the already defeated ones on screen. Nothing was working, so instead, I checked the path I didn't visit before through the tunnel. The nut wasn't where it usually was on the wall. Instead, it was on the ceiling. Tough chance doing nut clip with that, but as I opened the gate and made my way through, all of my problems seemed to go away. First, I jumped over to grab the nut I saw earlier. Then there was this lift that was moving pretty fast. All I had to do was take that thing all the way to the top, and what do you know? The giant plant actually does exist. Now we just take him out all the way up here, and the story moon has appeared all the way down there. Thankfully, things after this were much more simple. This nut by the tower was still easy, and then inside the tower, the uproots were nowhere to be found, but with some high jumps, everything in here can still be reached. Even stretching your legs, which I think was lowered a little bit because normally that jump is impossible. Then of course, we got the Spewert fight. All we have to deal with is even more poison in the arena, provided by more smaller plants guarding the bunny. There's one multi-moon, and then we can simply climb back up on foot for the rest of the story. For the tank shooting, the targets spin just, you know, a little bit faster than before, and there's the torque drift fight. Similar to the fight later on, there's more lasers on the ground to dodge in between phases, and also the blocks are laid out much differently, which makes hitting them from underneath a little awkward, and I really struggled with getting a hit on this last one. I just couldn't find the right spot. After almost dying, but somehow not, I realized I had to break the middle block with Cappy so I could actually stand under the spot I had to hit. Now he was defeated, and there was just the right amount of moons to leave. Moving on, let me just say I loved the new Cloud Kingdom fight. Instead of just jumping on the outside circles, Bowser lands on the clouds floating above. This leads to some interesting ways for attacking, and I feel like I saw about every version. For Phase 1, he ended with jumping down to a normal position. Phase 2, I grabbed the hat and punched him off the cloud he was on just to finish the job on ground level. And Phase 3, he came back over to a usual spot, but I had to act quickly before he jumped away again. So I took damage and backflipped for the fast strat and finished the job. Seriously, 10 out of 10 change right here. Now it's time for the crash landing in Lost Kingdom. First, I had to start out by doing Klepto Skip. How about we actually do it correctly this time? After I got up, I realized these blocks disappear way too fast, so I spent way too long trying to wall jump up like this. I couldn't get into the gap, and my hand was really cramping, so I had to drop back down. I got a couple of moons along the walls of this place, found one high up behind the single brick block, but was a little stumped by the cave gardening moon since I activated everything in here, but it didn't spawn. Also, upon further inspection, Klepto is just already gone, so I could have just walked down here to begin with. But with that extra freedom, I saw this. That flower is not usually there. Now I get it. They removed one flower from the cave and moved it down. So all I have to do is activate all these, jump down to get the last one, and boom, there's our moon. However, upon jumping around this place, you might have noticed some extra propeller pillars around here. So let's try one of these challenges by jumping over here. Oh, also, I found a shard out here. Climbing these poles was very weird with your direction constantly changing super fast. But there were two close enough together here that I could just wait to be facing the right way, then jump to the next platform I was at the height of. This worked really well. Then I just had to make one final leap of faith to reach the top. Seriously, don't know how that worked. With that, we just had half the moons to go. One of them was very visible at the bottom of the poison fall. Then I made it into this area, but Captain Toad was gone. That's okay though, because after scaling yet another propeller, which was even faster, I jumped back over to the mainland and saw our friend right below this tree. Again, nice camera angle. Now I just needed 2 more moons, and I knew just what to do. I had been taking notes of the other shards in this place. There was one over here above the Pit of Death, one below a wall jump section, one below the bridge at the start, which took so many tries for whatever reason. Like, seriously, this is an embarrassing amount of fails. Anyway, after what seemed like 10 minutes, I grabbed that one, did a trick jump across trees for Moon 9, and found the last shard, which was actually in the same spot it usually is. You know, that one's fitting because it's already really hard to collect. Now it's time for Metro, and this kingdom was one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. Let's start off with the night, of course, and well, things already look different. The spark pylon definitely is not going towards the mainland, so I guess we're making the impossible jump. As I was saying, making the impossible jump all the way down. Also, this car is kind of blocking my trampoline for this part. How dare it crash right into this wall? I can take the long way around the construction zone, but then I ran into the issue of climbing up to the heliport. The wire is blocked off, and it's way too high to jump up to from here. But thankfully, there was this platform off to the side I could reach, which led me to this area just under where I needed. It was close, but I could do a jump off this wall, get just enough height to up throw, and grab that checkpoint. From there, we can warp up and head into City Hall, but the interior of this is no cakewalk. All we got are these platforms that fall, plus the usual coin blocks and elevators. I suppose jumping up all of this isn't too bad if you move quickly, but there is still some really precise jumps you gotta do to clear this thing. Also, I decided to grab all of the purple coins in this room just in case I needed them, and I had to get that secret moon. Like I said, there were some really high jumps in here, but it was pretty simple getting up once you knew the layout. Now I guess I can try jumping across, and I would have made it too. I had the height, but the position was just off. Now we're climbing all the way up yet again. Let's run it back, but actually get the proper angle to make it in that door. There we go. Now we're at the boss, but that was pretty weird because for one thing, the wire did this, and also Mecha Wiggler was gone. Does this mean I can jump up and save Peach now? Guess not. I'm not exactly sure why this happens, but I jumped over to the pool, hit this P-switch, captured Lakitu, and the multi-moon just spawned at the bottom. We're not gonna question it, let's just take it. Now that it's daytime, we got a lot of stuff to collect. The wire at the start was still gone, so another impossible jump, but instead of doing what we did before, let's take note of the fact there's a seed up here. I see what the goal is. Alright, just gotta line everything up here, roll into this thing before flying off the edge, and chuck it towards the mainland. Okay, let's do that again, but this time actually survive. Awesome, it's planted. While we wait for that to grow, let's get a couple of other cool moons around here. For the RC car, the moon is in the ground slightly lower than before for some reason, probably to prevent the scooter clippers. Instead, you have to drive around the back to get in there and grab it. Next, I went over to these swinging girders to grab the new and improved swaying in the breeze. Then I went into the girders and went through this cool challenge to grab the moon at the end. This really feels like Kaizo. Now I suppose we should talk to Pauline and find the musicians. Well, the interesting camera angle helped me find the drummer. That's cool. The bassist was still on the island over this way, but now it's filled with tanks. But hidden in the scrap does not seem to be here, so we're just gonna talk to this guy and peace out. After this, I did a little bit more searching and found a lot more purple coins. There's quite a bit of groups to find here. Also, once I decided to climb the building, I couldn't seem to get this moon. That dumpster is way higher than usual, and I had no idea how to jump over there. Although, I did find the real hidden in the scrap moon during my messing around with that. Now it is time to introduce you to the new bane of my existence. This other seed by the cafe. So the pot is over on this building, which is very high up. In order to get it up there, we have to throw the seed from the grate and have it stick right on the edge of this building with the hint art. By the way, that's what it is. just in case you were curious. But throwing this seed all the way over there is ridiculous because it is so hard to stick the landing on that ledge. It just kept bouncing off the wall above it, and I couldn't make any progress. After a good amount of tries with that, I took a slight break and stumbled into the trumpeter over here, and then remembered the guitarist was at the start, so I guess we could continue with the story. Oh, also there's a moon back here, I guess. But no, I just couldn't continue without getting this seed to its home. Fortunately, I did have a new idea on what to do. First, I would just triple jump from here instead of doing the whole rolling movement from before, and I would have to throw the seed on the ledge so that it would land right here with no wall and just right along the side. It took so long to do, but finally it worked. Then I climbed up there myself, and in a panic from it disappearing, I kicked it off the edge. Why? Well, guess I'm trying again. This time, I threw it into the right spot, got up there with the seed, and tried jumping over to the building with the pot, but in another panic, I threw it, and it fell all the way down. Come on, man. Alright, I needed to get this whole thing planned out before I did it again. I realized jumping like this, I could make it there without letting go of the seed. So I got back to trying this stupid throw again. I had spent over 30 minutes on this one moon, and I just knew I had to get it done at this point. After many more attempts, I finally landed it on the ledge, got back up, and tried the jump for real this time. Now, let's finish the job. That was the hardest one so far, and I still have to wait to collect it. Let's finally go into the sewer. This wasn't too different, thank goodness. Both sewer treasure and powering up the station were very simple. So now we're in the festival. This will be cool though, because it should be the Kaizo I'm used to. 2D Kaizo. The barrels move much faster now, and it takes some good timing to get through all of them. There's even Kaizo blocks here that I got to scream about. The secret moon under here was also changed up a bit with having this mini section. I didn't do it perfectly, but I still made it. It's fine. Then as I got out, I was greeted with this, and somehow I got through it untouched. Then I weaved my way through all the fire and scaled up the end to reach Donkey Kong. It was done. But of course, what would Kaizo be without trolls? Hey, that's not where I should be. I was very shocked and very confused in this moment, but the answer had been right in front of me the whole time. Just jump back down to the mainland, because of course you could just do that now. I did see a few swinging girders in the background earlier, and I think I now know why. Let's just get to the top of these buildings and make a huge jump from the railing right up to this thing. Great, now we just have to make many more high jumps while setting everything up during a lot of swinging. Then, once we're high enough on these, there seems to be nowhere else to go, but there actually is, because we could just make a very terrifying up throw on the left to capture the pole and get up to the pool. At which point, we can jump back over to the City Hall building, do some wall jumps up and around to get to one last girder, and make the final leap of faith to the finish line. How long did this kingdom take? An hour? Maybe more? Oh yeah, and I still have to officially get my newly grown moons. Somehow, this one's not done yet, but I guess it's the perfect time to sit here and wait while I go take a bathroom break and refill my water bottle. That one feels good to obtain after all this time. Let's hope I don't lose all of my sanity by the end of this. Well, now we have Snow Kingdom. Are those poison waves? Yeah, that's a little inconvenient, and I can't even escape because that happens. Shiveria is completely completely blocked off. I had to then scour the outside and figure out where I had to go. I could utilize this ice block as a kind of a window into the clear skies, but I didn't see anything. I thought maybe the answer could be up on the snowdram platform. It looked rather empty, but then I realized, wait, it's the other painting platform. Of course, you have to do this jump in the blizzard to get up to this tall place, which has a checkpoint and a pipe leading you straight down to the main event. Unfortunately, most of the moons in this town just seem to have disappeared. I don't know what that means. You know, I could just clip into this wall and skip everything, but I think I'll just try the main rooms. None of them were too bad, but they all had their moments. For the poison room, there's a heck of a lot more blowy joeys, but a jump around all of these will suffice. Also, you actually have to move this block instead of just jumping over it to find the secret moon. Then all the spinies can get knocked off same as normal. For the Rango room, we got no wind. It's easy until you get to here with this massive cliff. I really thought there was no way this was happening, but then I had an attempt that looked like this, and I had hope. It is extremely tight, but by jumping in the perfect spot and throwing Cappy at the perfect time, you can make it up. Not sure exactly where the secret moon is though, so I'm just fighting the boss. That's unusual, but actually this makes things really fun, and with all this wind pushing you up, it's easy to stay above him and do a very stylish quick kill. I approve of this one. For the shards room, obviously they are all much more spread out and placed in higher and farther spots. This even applies to the purple coins. The secret moon is still in its chest, which is now attached to the wall, and the last shard is way up on this front wall. Nothing a long jump from the top deck and up throw can't solve. One room to go, the Goombas. This one wasn't bad at all. I was going to drop the massive icicle in the middle to free the Goomba there, but apparently that's how you get the story moon hidden inside. Then just take 4 buddies over here like always. Not often I do all of this as intended, but now we can jump down to the race room and instantly start right here for some reason. I imagine these racers were going to be moving pretty fast, and boy was I right about that. Not gonna lie, it was a little tough to keep up, but they still can't handle a sub 55 time. I'm not just some newbie. Well, is that it? That felt a lot more manageable. And now we can see what the full kingdom really does look like with these new waves. Why is this weirdly satisfying? Kind of interesting how we are actually seeing waves in this kingdom, but no waves in Seaside. Get it? Because all the water is gone? This is going to be interesting with no Gushins around. Well, at least we can make a very close trick jump up to grab the first story moon here. Now, at this point, usually I would pop that first cork and fly up to the lighthouse from here, but I guess instead we're going up the long way. Oh, and you thought we were done with poison waves? No, no, no. There's more. Also, my optimism is not helped by the fact that there's a lock under this block. I wasn't even trying to rhyme there. At least for this movement, you're making your way through following the direction of the waves, so it's not too bad to find all of the platforms you need. There were a few deaths, but I still made it to the end, and then the key had shown itself. Wait, before we do that, I'm gonna go up to the lighthouse and grab this checkpoint. Now I don't have to go there and back in one try. I can just go back. But this way is much harder, of course, because now you have to go against the direction of the waves. This one also took a long time to figure out. Basically, you have to jump over the tall part of the wave, quickly find where the ground is, and refresh your cap bounce to keep going. Also, it's not like every part of the ground at the low point of the waves is fine. There's only a few rocks to utilize. Eventually, though, I got a route down. I realized better results were happening if I were to stall in the air long enough to jump over 2 waves at a time instead of just 1. I could get pretty far, but this was still insanely challenging. Those waves just seem to come in so quickly, and the pressure builds up. So mistakes like this are bound to happen, but literally the very next attempt I had about the smoothest run possible. That was nice. Okay, so what is the rest of Seaside like? It's definitely something. First, let's go up and grab the Lighthouse Moon, then run over to the Hot Springs Waterless. But there's no gushions to clear the lava. This guy says I have to use the door. So I went in here, and it's just a sub-area. But when I went through again... Not sure I understand. And then we just have to climb up the rolling canyon just like normal for that last story moon. Now the fight could begin. I also grabbed the Dory Moon since she's just sitting right here during this boss. But let's defeat him because we got gushions for it now. That's helpful for clearing the lava off his head. Only problem is I can't recharge so easily with no water below. Every time I run out, I gotta get a new one. So it's not usual for me to be chasing him like this. At least after the first hit, I could just jump over to his head as Mario and do a ground pound. That did the trick for phase 2. And then I got one more capture in for the final blow. Alright, we're getting close to the end here. It's time to move on all the way over to Luncheon. And first thing I noticed was most of the moons were gone. Where have I seen this before? Well, except for the first timer challenge, that is. Oh dear. It's the same obstacle, just much, much further away. And that timer is tight as heck. It's gonna take some planning to get over there fast enough. By setting Cappy up right here and rolling, I could get a bit of a head start. Then with perfect movement through all of the salt on the roofs, I could get there, wall jump up, and grab the moon with time to spare. Now, after this, I went to fight Spewer and again learned something. He is very easy no matter what is on the arena. Once I was in the main area, I tried looking for some turnips, but no golds around, unsurprisingly. So I guess I'll head over to the cheese rocks. Huh, I don't remember the Pan Bros having this much energy, but I'm still gonna capture him and break some stuff. I got all the purples in here, found a moon under this chunk, but got no lever. Oh, okay, I think I understand what to do. Make a leap of faith across the entire gap to the mountains in the back. There actually just so happened to be a regular moon behind everything. Convenient for refilling my health, and then I captured the other Pan Bro with the big hops, and found the real cheese with the lever beneath it. After another leap of faith, back over to collect it and climb back up where I once was, I captured the meat and was in the pot. Only this is what the soup looked like. Wonder if that will be any issue later. Spoiler alert, it will be. Since I have to go back up towards the cave anyway, I thought I would try carrying this gold turnip I found behind the start. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. This was way easier than that Metro thing that I wish to completely forget about. All we have to do here is jump and throw it around the building, jump up to the roof with the Odyssey, then lightly toss it across this gap. And there we go, it's so simple. Apparently this is recipe number 2. Then we can go right over to the cave, and I don't know why I expected to see lava bubbles in here. This place is kind of just alluring me into a false sense of security. That's alright though, I've done this before. I had to take a couple of attempts trying to get the purple coins on either side, but once I got that out of the way and I could just go straight, it was much easier. The secret moon was grabbed behind here, and thankfully there were lava bubbles at the end to light the torch. I was wondering if I could take the shortcut by trick jumping up still. It's a little bit harder since the torches are gone, but you can still barely make it up to the roof. Just for fun though, I'm gonna go the normal way. This way, I can jump across the lava and say hi to Captain Toad, who's even further out now. Now all it takes is a bit more platforming up this way, and it's Kukateel time. Oh yeah, and do you remember this? If you thought this fight was jank before, well, everything about the boss functions the same, but with the addition of the new waves, it means this could happen. Trying to dash when going uphill is not the way to go. Now I'm just outside of the arena, and there's this camera angle now, which means I can see everything. Well, I can get back in and finish the fight while being a bit more careful, but... Okay, we're gonna do it again, but I'm gonna be very careful this time. I'm not gonna shake the controller at all. We'll just have a smooth fight through all of these phases and quickly jump once the multi-moon spawns just to be sure. Awesome. But see, I still had to get 3 more moons after all that, so I looked for some around the start. I found one with a lava bubble through this tunnel, and then decided since I got 1 timer challenge, I should go for number 2. This is what it looks like. 2 platforms and a single falling block to cross between them. This was complicated because the block falls too quickly to utilize it on the trip down and back. Why do I do this to myself? I'm gonna figure out a solution. The best course of action that I thought was to switch to 2-player mode, since Cappy can get a little further away and activate the Scarecrow as I jump. Only problem is that anything Cappy hits has to be on screen or it won't work. I thought maybe I could counter this by switching to 1-player mode and then homing in, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. But then I had an insane idea. Something so crazy it just might work. What if I capture a lava bubble? Hey, I got another tunnel moon. Bring it over here, send Cappy out up to the platform with the Scarecrow, and then I'm gonna jump as Mario, activate the timer challenge, and dive up to the platform just as I jump out of the capture. I really want to say this worked, but that would be nuts. It was really close though. The platform was just slightly too high. Maybe thinking more simple is what I should do. I could just go back to the original idea I had with 2-player mode, but just turn the camera around so it's facing the Scarecrow. That was a very close jump, but by using the midair spin, it worked. Time to make one last victory dive back over, and let's go. We are out of here. So we're in the home stretch, right? I mean, it's not like ruin is gonna be that bad, right? Oh my gosh. This is not real. No, this is not happening. Oh, thank goodness there is still a wire here. Oh, and it does go up. You really had me worried that you expected me to... No! You can't do this to me. Come on, I already beat the getting over it mod. I don't want to do it again. Everyone, let me introduce you to my new least favorite thing ever created in general. You have to do all this platforming on super small objects all the way up to the arena, and it is a long way up. This was absolute torture for every part of me. Like, no joke, I'm struggling to even talk about it right now because of how much I hated it. Some of these jumps are super tight. So many platforms just felt like trolls, and if you mess up at any point, you go all the way back to the Odyssey. I might need a new controller because of how much my hands were sweating. If there was one part of this mod that broke me, this would be it. Actually, you could say it did break me, because I was so fed up I had to turn on assist mode, just to give myself at least some checkpoints. Well, I thought that would work, but it turns out most of these platforms aren't solid ground that the bubble drops you onto. Don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but I choose to believe it was. Although, something else happened with this. So I was making my way up and actually getting pretty far after learning the layout of it. I had absorbed the power after watching the world record run of it, but then I slipped. And I was wondering if the bubble would put me on one of these further platforms. Well, no. Actually, it just brought me to the arena, even though I hadn't touched it yet. Honestly, I hate this whole thing so much that I don't care. I'm exhausted and I gotta get this video done on time. I'm just doing it like this. Just gotta make sure we don't die here. This time, we have to take on 3 dragons at the same time. You'd think that would make for a bigger challenge, but it didn't feel that way. It was basically just more time consuming, and that's pretty much it. This is because you can just focus on one of them to defeat. Then once that's done, they just stay there on the arena. So now you have a platform to avoid everything else easily. You're just gonna have to do the other 2 with the camera much more zoomed zoomed in and with the music off. It's a much different feeling that I honestly can't even describe. With about 2% of my sanity still intact, if that, we got the multi-moon, switched back to normal mode, and sailed away to Bowser's Kingdom. I feel like nothing could be so bad after what I just went through. Thankfully, in this place, I was able to regain my trust in wires. Also, I usually get the moon behind the big wall, so I figured I'd jump down here too. And apparently the uproots are the main capture now. As I went to the next island, something looked different, and when I killed the ogre, nothing happened. That's because there's another one around the back. But the issue is, it didn't do anything. It only moved if I hit it with a Pokio, but it never swung the block. I even tried warping because I thought it was broken, but what you're actually supposed to do is poke this glowing spot on his head. Not really sure how I was supposed to figure that out, but at least it was simple. Alright, let's go get the next story moon with more shards. None of these were too bad. I actually thought most of the spots were pretty creative and fun. The last one was actually past the closed door on the other side of it, which is just amazing. Great, we're through with this island, and now it's on to the brutal battles, which looked like this. I actually really like these fights, and they weren't that hard. Using the quick way to beat these bosses is very important. I did mess up a bit on the Harriet fight, but after learning the way that she moves during the spaceship phase, this was a piece of cake. Let's get this checkpoint on the roof, climb the wall, get another checkpoint under this bridge for some reason. Oh, and look, there's one more wire. You think there'll be more lava up there? Actually, a bit more than that. We apparently were just under lava the whole time, and now it's everywhere. All over the arena except for a couple of spots. But here's the thing, it really doesn't mean anything if you just jump right on top of the mech and do the quick kill to stay on the entire time. I am very grateful in this moment for how much I practiced that. Now let's jump over to this thing and grab it so we can sail to the moon. Also, you'd think the moon gravity would be disabled, but actually it still exists. So I was wondering if this means you can still do moon cave skip. Well, sadly what is gone is the Sphinx, so it looks as though we can't get enough height from this. Alright, let's get it over with. How hard is the cave going to be? Things start out pretty simple since we just have to jump across all of these pillars, and then once down here it looks like most of the enemies are gone. This life up heart is also easily obtained, which seems weird. The wire is over on that pillar, and these coins indicate which way you have to go. Well, let's jump up and do some lava bouncing. By spacing everything just right, we can get all the way over there with just one hit to spare. Okay, so we're just gonna ride the wire all the way up, and there's another troll. Yippee! Let's do all of that again, just to get back to the wire, actually jump off correctly, refill my health so that I can do some more lava bouncing under this gate, and jump across all of these platforms over the lava to reach the first respawn point. Continuing the theme, there's no bonsai bills, so more lava bouncing. First, we can go all the way over to this section a little bit further out, get another life apart from the blocks, do one lava bounce this way, and then 4 more to get across this huge gap to where the cannon is. Now we have one hit to spare, which is just enough to cross this last gap before reaching the real cannon. And then, of course, I'm just gonna completely fumble the whole thing by Cappy homing into the purple coin. That's unfortunate, but you might think since I got there on the first try, it'd be easy to get back.
No.
Whether it was Cappy homing into coins, not getting a wall jump off the cannon, or the spin not going through, it was a struggle, but it was still way less frustrating than that freaking ruined platforming. I'm never gonna get over it. This, I could definitely clear. It was just a matter of time before the wall jump at the end worked, and I could get a redo on this jump. Turns out using the bonsai is the way to go. Second respawn point, there we go. Only slight issue here. After you jump over all of these fast boulders, what do? Seriously, I'm actually asking, frustrating because I have no idea. I can't jump high enough to get over these rocks, and there are coins here that I guess say to go this way, but I can't jump far enough to get anywhere. There's nothing I can do here. How are you supposed to pass this? My alternative was to go back and actually capture one of the bonsai bills to fly over here to wall jump up, but there were actually invisible walls there to prevent that. Wasn't gonna stop me though. I found that by going around the other side, you could barely slip into the invisible wall and start jumping up. Then there's this weird platform right at the top, which gives us just enough room to backflip out and bounce all the way up. Holy heck, dude, I don't want to have to do that again. Oh, come on. I have to beat Madame Brood with the entire floor being lava, except this super small speck? No, you know what? Heck this. I wasn't gonna mention this, but in trying to figure out what to do here, I found you actually can do Moon Cave Skip by doing 3 perfect wall jumps along the cliffside. Again, we're just rolling with this and moving on because I'm not sure how much more of this I can handle. Into the wedding hall finally, and let's get right into this fight with Bowser. We got more waves of poison. They move pretty slowly, but it's still difficult to avoid hitting it as you're punching Bowser on these platforms. You kind of have to keep jumping around everything while trying not to break your cycle for too long, and while trying to not let his tail hit you as he swipes. Also, that's another issue. He does a lot more of those spins here, so you have to stay on him for a while. But the biggest problem that I learned the hard way is that if Bowser is pushed off his initial yellow block, the waves will catch him and just drag him off the arena, sometimes to a point where it's impossible to hit him and you feel like you got cheated. See, I could get upset at this, but at the end of the day, that's just how it goes. This is what Kaizo is. This is what it's always meant to be. It's going to be hard. Sometimes you're gonna die in dumb ways, but other times you're gonna do something cool, and finishing is going to feel really satisfying. I was also stuck on this fight for a good while, but there was nothing I could do at this point. Honestly, I didn't even feel any anger because I had been drained of all emotion. I just kept jumping over all of the waves, trying to grab the hat at the right time, moving in a way that I wouldn't be hit by the fire for no reason, and hoping he would stay on the block without being carried away. But with every hit done, there was hope. I knew I could do this. I just had a 1 hit to go, and all I had to do was get Bowser into the perfect spot. It was over. Don't worry, I'm not gonna die after the cutscene. It puts me over here. There's just one thing left to do. Head down into the moon's core and capture Bowser to escape. But I have to imagine there's gonna be a bit more platforming in here. Yeah, these platforms are spaced pretty far apart for Bowser. Jumping some of these gaps takes a good amount of planning to do, but I think I learned that doing a claw swipe actually keeps you in the air longer than breathing fire. So by double jumping right at the edge of this platform, vectoring over and claw swiping, you can barely make it. And most of the jumps after are pretty similar. There's also quite a few rocks here, so we gotta do a lot of scratching to get through all of this. Thankfully, it's not too bad if you use this other stack in the corner. Alright, let's run over to 2D. And I actually really liked how all of this was set up. Fire breathing in just the right spots, required 2D skips throughout the whole thing, and this jump, which I was a little stumped on at first. But apparently this ledge is just big enough for you to stand on. It kind of feels like you're doing a wall jump from the original 2D game. Okay, we are so close. Now there's just a few walls in the way. Some more precise jumps are needed, but it's not too bad if you take your time. And then we have finally made it. The end is in sight. Please, can we just not mess this up now? Shouldn't be that bad. All we gotta do is make a couple of double jumps and claw swipes to get across all these gaps. Perfect. We're at the pillars, and we're just gonna slowly make our way around the pillars counterclockwise. All right, this one's easy. Nice path to get over to the second one. And okay, we just gotta do one more precise jump. Right from the top corner, all the way down to here. Let's go. Pillar 3 is broken down, and I'm just gonna stand here and shoot fire at the very last one. Truly, there is no other way it could end. The final spark pylon is open. We have jumped inside, and this game has been beat. Do you want to know how long that took me? It took 10 hours to do this. Almost exactly. See, I knew it was gonna be hard, but I didn't think it would be that hard. Honestly, I don't know what to say anymore. I loved this mod, but I also hated it. Clearly, so much work went into this, but man, was it a lot to get through. But this is still one of the best mods ever created for this game, and if I ever get over all this pain, maybe I'll play it again one day. However, this is one of the longest videos I've made recently, and as of this moment, I am currently dead. So I'm gonna go get some sleep right now, and hopefully I wake up in time for the next upload. Thank you all so much for watching, all the way to the end, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.